fact is, at the moment, we have 3,500 people killed. And you yourself alluded to just then that perhaps some of them weren't legitimate targets.
You know, there is no crime at all when you threaten criminals with death. In my country, at least, there is no law which says I cannot threaten criminals. And that was the favorite, well, of course, the cliche that they used. It became a cliche over time. And when I was president, I said, we have 3 million, according to PDEA, 3 million drug addicts. Not counting mine, because it's still going on. So I said, if we do not interdict this problem, the next generation will be having a serious problem. And I announced that, again, same. You destroy my country, I'll kill you. And it's a legitimate thing. If you destroy our young children, I will kill you. That is a very correct statement. There is nothing wrong in trying to preserve the interest of the next generation. That 3 million addicts, it's not, they are not a residents of one compact area or contiguous place. They're spread all over the country. And by the sheer number, because if you are a user, you must push. Unless you are the son of a billionaire, or because you have to sustain your addiction by getting another financier for you. And then the next financier will have to get a new victim to finance it. That's how it became. That is how drugs is spread. But it was not until I became president that the widespread and the magnitude of the problem became really a serious issue.
Good morning, Ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Praise be Jesus and Mary. So that was the video about the interview of our former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. It was all about on drugs, death, and diplomacy interview. You know what? It was also 8 years ago, so time flies so fast. You know what? Let's recall or retackle about the question that has been thrown. So their question was, the fact is at the moment we have 3,500 people killed, and you yourself alluded to just then that perhaps some of them weren't legitimate targets. So see, the question is very, very direct to the point, and it's kind of pertaining to something or an assumption that was shown to our former president. So now let's move to the response of our former president. So as you can see in the screen, we have transcribed the script and a statement of our former president. So you can watch and reread it all over again. Now let's move. How many words did he utter? So we have concluded it was 247 words, including fillers, redundant words, confusing repetition, and others. As you can see, if we will going back to his statement, there's also redundancy rather. The highlighted word there was criminals, kill, You can watch it all over in the video. So the next question, how long did he answer? It was about 2 minutes and 7 seconds. See, he is direct to the point. That's the characteristic of our former president. He can answer even in 2 minutes. The substance is there.
Okay, good morning, ma'am and classmates. To continue our discussion about the discourse analysis on former President Rodrigo Duterte, we will move on to how simple or complex his language and highlight if there's any. So he used a simple, bold, humorous, and direct word. So even though that interview in Al Jazeera, an international media network, even though it was serious topic, he also used simple, bold, and humorous direct words. For example, I will kill you, and you must push unless you are a son of a billionaire. So in this case, in this I will kill you, this statement is bold. It imposes a direct threat to the criminals who are trying to destroy the lives of the youth. And then if you, for example, this one, you must push unless you are a son of a billionaire. This is humorous because if he entails that a pusher usually is poor because that pusher needs financier or he needs money in order to sustain his addiction. So the next one is how many words have one syllable or other syllable count. So out of the 247 words, we have 202 one-syllable word and 32 two-syllable word. What words were repeated? So based from what you can see here in the screen, we have here threaten criminals two times, and then cliche 2 times, 3 million 3 times, and then country 2 times, I 1 2 3 4, and then finance 2 times, and then financier 1 time. So we can see here that this answer to the interview is all about the legitimacy of the targets or how many people or drug addicts will kill. So he emphasized here that threatening criminals or swaying them out of the country is not punishable by the law because he is just trying to protect the youth and the welfare of the community. So based from the Flesch-Kincaid reading test, we can see here that from the results, we have Flesch-Kincaid grade level 5.6 and then the Flesch reading E-score 76.1. So this was above the passing. So as we can see here, the reading level of his speech or response is 7th grade and it says that fairly easy to read. And the average words per sentence is 12.1. And then average syllables per word is 1.4. And then the sentences 21 and the words is 254 with the or the jargons. So as we can see here, from the top level, from the bottom, we have here third from the bottom. So it is fairly good, as we can see here. So moving on to the next one, what point of view does he use? So it is first person point of view, since he always uses I to imply that he holds accountability and he is responsible for all of the things that were happening in our country, that he is trying to preserve the youth and to destroy the virus or the magnitude and the intensity of the drugs campaign. That's why he is trying to search for a possible solution to sway away the criminals and to move or to leap our country for the progress as well as the better living of life and as well as safety and peaceful environment.
Continue our discussion. Is his speech coherent? The speech might lack the logical flow and grammatical precision of a formal written statement. However, it exhibits a certain thematic coherence centered around the speaker's strong feelings about the crime and drugs and their willingness to take extreme measures. The coherence lies more in the consistent expression of a particular viewpoint and the justification of those views through their past experience and perceived threats to their nation. So even though his speech doesn't have a coherent, but it has a strong feelings about crime and drug, and the extreme measures of the coherence and the consistent of his expression. So if you're a criminal, you might be scared on how he gave his speech. So next is he smart? or well informed? Definitely yes. So if you notice how he used simple yet bold, commanding, and with conviction words, he knows the game. Like for example, I'll do this one. How what is this one? Putang ina nyo. Something like that. It's a bad word, but uh he used that expression and he's so good and he knows or like he knows the game of how to make the criminal scared of him. So he is really smart and well informed. And lastly, does his answer have a point? Yes, the text definitely has points. The speaker is trying to make these points centered around justifying harsh measures against criminals and highlighting the severity of drug problem. The speaker also emphasized or Duterte their past actions as president and issues issues strong threats to those who harm their country and children. So, if I will be the one who is going to listen to Duterte, well, you can really say that his speech, even though there's no coherent, but it has a point. And that will be all for this discussion. Thank you so much.